In the heart of Santa Fe sits the Palace of the Governors, appropriately named as it was constructed in the early 1600s as Spain's seat of government for what is today the southwestern portion of the United States. With the different governing forces of the times, the palace changed hands over the years. You can only imagine if these adobe walls could talk. But as part of the New Mexico History Museum, the many eras of the building's life are represented in the collections you will find exhibited here. The Palace of the Governors houses more than 400 years of New Mexican history, from Spanish colonization to the Santa Fe Trail, the Civil War to the Rough Riders, and collections highlighting figures such as Kit Carson, Lew Wallace, D.H. Lawrence, Pancho Villa, and Juan de Oñate. This is a place where multiple visits will continue to enlighten and inform you, and it seems like the ideal place to get some more history on El Camino Real. I'm meeting with the museum's interim director, John, to gain his perspective on the trail.
So John, can you tell me about some of the history of the Palace of the Governors?
Yes, well, the Palace of Governors started about 1610, so this is the oldest continuously inhabited public building in the country.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So this was the building for the royal city here of northern New Spain.
Okay.
And it was also a place where not only governors but soldiers came to. It was a place where priests came to. And then settlers came here and then dispersed around northern New Mexico. You can imagine their relief when they finally came here after about 6 months of traveling over desert, over mountains, through some lands where there might have been hostile Native American attacks. And this was a safe haven for that end of the journey.
So John, take me back to what the El Camino Real was like back then, because this was the destination, but what was that experience? What was that journey like for people?
So it was 1,500 miles from Mexico City to Santa Fe, over deserts, over mountains. A good day's travel was about 12 miles. So just imagine, and you didn't ride. I mean, you didn't burden your horse by riding it. So you walked almost that whole 1,500 miles. Once you got here to Santa Fe, this was one of the most remote parts of the Spanish Empire around the whole world, because it took so long to get here. It was so difficult to get here. So people who came here had to be motivated to get here. So what were the reasons for coming here? Well, for some of them it was an opportunity hopefully to find gold or silver originally. That played out pretty quickly that there wasn't a whole lot of gold or silver here. Right. But it was a place to set up a settlement of their own, a hacienda, a place where they could grow the crops, raise livestock, raise a family. Maybe they had a failed business in Spain or Mexico and they wanted to get away from their creditors. Maybe they wanted to get away from the religious persecution of the Order of the Inquisition. So maybe they were converted Jews in Spain who converted to Catholicism.
The crypto Jews.
Crypto Jews, exactly. And then they came to Santa Fe in northern New Mexico to get away from the Inquisition, and so settled here. So they were outsiders. Priests came here as well because they wanted to not only administer to the faithful, the Spanish and Mexican faithful, but they also wanted to convert Native Americans. So Santa Fe, northern Mexico, has been a place for outsiders to come throughout the centuries.
Wow. Everyone thinks, oh, the gold rush and everybody moved east to west, but a lot of people just have been here for so long.
And kind of along those lines, Michael, as you said, east to west kind of is our thought of migration. Back before the United States came into New Mexico, that route of migration was north to south, south to north, and that was along the Camino Real.
Okay.
That was the axis, north to south. If you wanted to go someplace that was the capital, you went down to Mexico City, you went south. That's where New Mexicans got their governance, that's where they got their architectural styles, their clothing styles. They looked south, not east. And then when the Santa Fe Trail came in 1821, that axis shifted from north-south to east-west. And then people in Santa Fe started looking east to the United States. But think of this, people were in the Palace of the Governors 200 years before the first person slept in the White House.
Wow.
And the colony of New Mexico and Santa Fe was started about the same time as the English colony in Jamestown.
Yeah, that gives you some perspective for sure.
The Palace of the Governors is just one of the buildings comprising the New Mexico History Museum campus, so make sure to visit the new building of the museum behind the Palace of the Governors, and the living history exhibit of the Palace Press, also right off the interior courtyard. Don't miss the exposed excavated portions of the adobe puddled walls that were created during the Native American occupation of the palace from 1680 to 1692.